The differences between risk and uncertainty. It's very important again for us to understand the differences between the risk and uncertainty. Many people get confused. Although I have taken the various points of differences between the two, that is risk and uncertainty, I would mention a few of them here. In case of the risk, as I said, it refers to a set of unique outcome for a given event which can be assigned probability, while your uncertainty refers to the outcome of a given situation, a given event, and which are too unsure to be assigned the probability. Risk can be measured, whereas your uncertainty cannot be measured. Risk can be calculated, whereas uncertainty cannot be calculated. One would be in a position to foresee the risk, while your uncertainty cannot be in a position to be foreseen. Empirical observations can help you to understand the portion of the risk in your project, while there are no empirical observations that can help you to understand the uncertainty in a given situation. The results are known in case of the risk, while your uncertainty is not closer to the probability, where no one would be in a position to know what the chances of an outcome are. So therefore, as the results are known in case of the risk, the decision maker would be in a position to take the decision, and that can be little easier for him, while in case of your uncertainty, the decision maker cannot take up the decisions easily. Moving on to the next topic, that is the reason why one should have the risk analysis in capital budgeting. It is important for us to know the real reason behind why one should be in a position to understand the real reason for us to know the risk analysis in capital budgeting. The first important point that we have over here is the risk management. Investment decisions requires to manage the various risks associated with it, like the cost of capital, large size of investment, the rate of return, etc. Hence, there is a need to study the risk analysis in capital budgeting. The second important point what we have there is the selection of the project under the risk. There are various projects with different size, different types, different nature, in which the degree of risk is also different. To assess all of them, there is a need for us to know the risk, and the significance of risk analysis in capital budgeting therefore arises. Third part is the sensitivity analysis. Projects of any nature generally are complex in nature. Therefore, analysis of the project in all the situation is required. Scenario analysis. In case of scenario analysis, the focus is on the deviation on the number of interconnected variables. So therefore, to analyze the interconnected variables, the study is required. Decision tree analysis. The principal step in your decision tree analysis will help one to assess the various alternatives that are available. So therefore, a risk analysis, understanding that in capital budgeting is essential. Corporate risk analysis focuses on the analysis of the risk that may influence the project in terms of the entire cash flow of the firm. The corporate risk of a project refers to its share that it has in the total risk of a company. And again, there are practical implications, the techniques that are involved that could relatively bring about a kind of acceptable margin so that the same may be used as investment yardstick. So coming to the practical side of checking the possibility of capital investment and its decision making, one would be in a position to use that as an important yardstick. There are various steps in risk analysis. The first one is risk identification, 2, risk analysis, risk reduction, risk monitoring, and risk reporting. These are self-explanatory, and therefore let's move to the next important topic, that is the factors that influences the risk. Although it's very important for one to know the various factors that influences the risks, let's understand the various determinants that influences the forecasting decision in an organization. These events could be external and internal. Some of them could be, I've just mixed all of them here. They are essentially the external and the internal factors. Some of them are the general economic conditions. Business consists of various activities which contributes largely to the economic development. However, the various levels that we have in the business activity might be affected by the economic pressures, the political situations, the monetary policies, the fiscal issues, the social conditions that we have in our country. Two is the industry factors. The risks can be expected from within the industry, which might affect all the companies in the same industry. For example, the labor turnover. The labor turnover might affect the industrial relation within the firms of the same industry. Company factors. This category of events may affect only a company. Say, for instance, change in the management, a change in the people who work in the top level in the management, the strikes that we may have in the company, the accidents due to unforeseen reasons like the fire, the natural calamity, etc., that might affect directly the company. This could be an important factor contributing to the risk. Technology. Today, dominantly, if you look at technology, is spearheading, and the changes that we have in the technology will certainly affect the decisions that we have in the organization, because this is going to affect the earning capacity of a project. Moving on to the next one is a computation. The action of the computator cannot be predicted at any point of time. So this may affect the project. So therefore, risk analysis is important. Government action. Sometimes the changes that we have at the government level may be too fiercely affecting the project, its initiation, its expansion, its closure. So this might affect the project. So this may in turn bring down the sector returns of the project also. Inflationary situation. A sudden increase in the cost and the overheads that we have due to the inflationary situation, the rate with which the inflation is taking place may increase the risk of the project and may decrease the return of the project. Snacks. Snacks are basically the bottlenecks that we may have. Snacks could be in form of the exchange rate fluctuation. It could be in form of the strikes. It could be something that the suppliers or the customers may directly or indirectly contribute to the successful life of the project. So all these are factors that influences very much the risks that we have in the project initiation, its implementation, and also a successful execution. There are various methods to minimize these risks. However, before we could make the choice of the method used, one should be in a position to categorize the risk that arises due to the reasons like that might affect, that could be due to the errors in forecasting, or maybe they are some of the factors that are externally contributing to the enterprises. So therefore, to minimize this part of the risk, there are various approaches that we have. Once the nature of the risk is understood and its quantum is estimated, it has to be considered in the decision-making process. One would be in a position to, however, calculate this portion of the risk and uncertainty with various popular techniques that are designed to handle the risk. Some of them are risk-adjusted discounted rate approach. We have the certainty equivalent approach. Next, we have the probability technique. We have the certainty analysis, scenario analysis, standard deviation. So certainty coefficient is already there. Then we have the coefficient of variation, which is again extension to your standard deviation, decision tree analysis, and lastly the simulation technique. All these will be discussed using the Excel sheet. But prior to that, however, I will explain to them one after the other.